The greatest gift you could give us, Catherine, would be to vanish from our lives. The words struck me like lightning as I stood in my son's kitchen in Portland, Oregon. Melissa's wedding gown hung pristine in the background, while her smile, that manufactured plastic smile I'd grown to despise, never wavered. My son David nodded in cold agreement, his eyes deliberately avoiding mine. Before I explain how I ended up here, let me take you back 3 years. I had sold my cherished craftsman home, the one my late husband Thomas and I had spent 15 years restoring by hand, to give David and Melissa the down payment on their dream house. $102,000, my entire life savings, handed over with a mother's unconditional love and trust. They had promised me something sacred. I would always have a place in their home, always be part of their growing family. Now, on the eve of their extravagant wedding, an event I was financing entirely, Melissa decided I was disposable, expendable, worthless. You heard what she said, didn't you? David finally spoke, his voice colder than a winter storm. This is supposed to be our magical weekend. Your negativity is destroying everything we've planned. My negativity? I had spent the entire morning arranging exotic orchids, the afternoon managing last-minute crisis after crisis, and the evening enduring Melissa's endless complaints about everything from the unseasonably warm weather to the ice sculpture artist's lack of vision. The only remotely negative thing I had done was gently suggest that perhaps we didn't need ice sculptures carved to look like leaping dolphins. "Where exactly am I supposed to go?" I asked, my voice unnervingly calm despite the storm raging inside me. Melissa shrugged with theatrical indifference, examining her freshly manicured nails as if they were far more interesting than this conversation. "I don't know, Catherine. A hotel? Your sister's place in Seattle? Honestly, I don't care where you disappear to, as long as you're not here contaminating our special day tomorrow." "This is my son's house too," I reminded her, my voice steady. "Actually, Mother," David cleared his throat uncomfortably, "it's really more Melissa's house now. She's been handling all the finances, managing all the renovations, making all the important decisions. You just gave us some money once, years ago." Some money once. $102,000 reduced to some money once, as if I'd handed them spare change for a coffee. I stood there in that kitchen where I'd cooked countless Sunday dinners, staring at the marble countertops I'd helped select, the custom cabinetry my life savings had made possible, the stainless steel appliances I'd researched for weeks. These people had taken everything I'd sacrificed for them and convinced themselves they deserved it, that they'd earned it through their own merit. That's when something fundamental inside me shifted. Not broke, shifted, like tectonic plates sliding into a new, irreversible position. "You're absolutely right," I said softly, my tone almost serene. "I should leave immediately." Melissa looked genuinely surprised, her perfectly shaped eyebrows arching dramatically. She'd probably expected tears, desperate pleading, the usual maternal guilt she could later describe to her country club friends as Catherine being impossibly dramatic again. "I'll pack my belongings and be gone within the hour," I continued, my voice steady as steel. David actually looked relieved, his shoulders visibly relaxing. That's probably best, Mom. We can talk after the honeymoon, once everything settles down and emotions aren't so high." Talk after the honeymoon. As if this was merely a temporary disagreement about table centerpieces or music selections. I paused at Thomas's photograph on the nightstand. 46 years of marriage, and he'd never once made me feel unwanted in my own home. "Don't worry, sweetheart," I whispered to his image, touching the frame gently. "I'm not going down without a fight." But first, I had critical phone calls to make. Sitting in my car outside their house, outside the house my money had purchased, I pulled out my phone and dialed my attorney's emergency number. Rebecca Walsh had been handling my legal affairs since Thomas's death, and she'd specifically warned me about this exact scenario developing. Catherine, it's Saturday evening. Is everything all right? Rebecca's concerned voice came through immediately. Rebecca, I need you to pull all the documentation on the house purchase, every single page. A thoughtful pause. Has something happened with David and Melissa? I told her everything. Melissa's cruel ultimatum, David's cold betrayal, the casual way they'd dismissed my massive financial contribution as some money once. Rebecca listened without interruption, though I could hear her typing furiously in the background. Catherine, I've been worried about this situation for months, she said finally. The way they've been treating your investment as a gift rather than what it actually was, a legally protected loan. My heart started beating faster. What do you mean, what it actually was? Another pause. Longer this time, more significant. You don't remember signing those additional protection documents? The ones I insisted on after you expressed concerns about Melissa's excessive spending habits? Rebecca, please tell me you protected me somehow. Oh, Catherine. Her voice carried a mixture of relief and vindication. That $102,000 wasn't a gift. Legally, it was structured as a secured loan with your name on the deed as co-owner. Melissa never signed the acknowledgement forms I sent over multiple times. In the eyes of the law, you own 40% of that house. I nearly dropped the phone, my hands trembling. I watched David appear in the kitchen window, opening a bottle of champagne, celebrating their freedom from his burdensome mother, no doubt. Rebecca, I need you to prepare a notice of intent to sell. I want it delivered first thing Monday morning. Catherine, are you absolutely certain about this? Once we start this process, there's no easy way back. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. They want me to disappear? Fine, but I'm taking my 40% with me. After hanging up, I sat in the growing darkness, watching my son and his fiancée toast their future in the house I'd made possible. They had no idea that in less than 72 hours, their perfect little world was going to implode. But first, I had one more devastating call to make. Riverside Manor Country Club, this is Jennifer speaking. How may I assist you? Hi, Jennifer, this is Catherine Mitchell. I need to speak with your catering director about tomorrow's wedding reception. Oh, Mrs. Mitchell, how exciting. The wedding's tomorrow. How can I help? I'm afraid there's been a significant change of plans. I need to cancel the reception entirely. Cancel? Her voice rose in alarm. But ma'am, it's less than 24 hours away. The food has been specially prepared, the staff scheduled, the flowers ordered. I understand completely, and I'm prepared to pay all cancellation fees. The thing is, I'm the one who signed the contract and put down the $15,000 deposit. I believe I have the legal right to make changes. A rustling of papers. Let me verify. Yes, the contract is indeed under your name with your credit card information. But surely you want to discuss this with the bride and groom first? No need whatsoever. I'm making an executive decision as the person financing this event. Mrs. Mitchell, with all respect, this seems like something that should involve the couple getting married. I watched Melissa through the window, now trying on her cathedral-length veil for what had to be the 20th time today. The happy couple made it crystal clear that my involvement in their lives is no longer welcome, so I'm simply honoring their explicit wishes. 20 minutes later, I was checked into the Marriott across town, ordering room service and experiencing something I hadn't felt in years, the profound satisfaction of taking control of my own life. My phone started ringing at 11:52 p.m. What did you do? Melissa's voice screeched through the speaker so loudly I had to hold it away from my ear. I honored your request, I said calmly, muting the television in my hotel room. You wanted me to disappear, so I disappeared. The country club called. They said you canceled our reception. Our wedding reception, Catherine. There are 215 people expecting a 5-course dinner tomorrow. I'm sure there are. That does sound like quite a problem. David grabbed the phone. Mom, this is completely insane. You can't just cancel our wedding because you're upset about sleeping arrangements. I didn't cancel your wedding, sweetheart. You can still get married at the church. I just canceled the reception I was personally paying for. You know, the the one costing me $17,000. Dead silence. I'd never mentioned the actual cost before, always deflecting gracefully when they asked about money, wanting to be the generous mother while they remained blissfully ignorant of the sacrifices involved. 17,000? Amanda's voice was barely a whisper now. The reception, the florist, the photographer, the live jazz band, the open bar. Did you think it was all complimentary? Did you think money just materialized because you two decided to have a fairy tale wedding? But we can't tell 200 people there's no reception, David stammered. You're both resourceful adults. I'm confident you'll figure something out. I hear Costco has excellent party platters. Melissa was crying now, ugly, heaving sobs that might have made me feel guilty 6 months ago. Now they just sounded like the tantrums of a spoiled child finally facing consequences. How could you do this to us? We trusted you. Trusted me? I almost laughed. You literally told me to disappear from your family permanently. I'm simply complying with your explicit request. I didn't mean forever, Melissa wailed. I just meant for the weekend, for the wedding weekend. Ah, I see. So I was supposed to psychically understand that when you said permanently, you actually meant temporarily. My mistake. Perhaps you should communicate more clearly. David tried a different approach, his voice taking on that manipulative tone he'd used since childhood. Mom, please. We can talk about this like rational adults. Come back to the house and let's work this out reasonably. The house where I'm no longer welcome? The house where my presence ruins everything? I don't think so, David. Where are you even staying? Melissa demanded, her voice sharp with panic. That's not really your concern anymore, is it? You made it abundantly clear that my living arrangements are my problem to solve. I could hear frantic whispering in the background, probably them trying to figure out how to undo the catastrophic mess they'd created. Can you at least call the country club back? David pleaded desperately. Maybe if you explain it was a misunderstanding? It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a very deliberate business decision made by the person who was financing everything. But what about our guests? What about Melissa's family flying in from California? What about my colleagues from the firm? What about them? You're still getting married in a beautiful ceremony. They can still witness that sacred moment. They just won't get a free gourmet dinner afterward. I'm sure they'll survive the disappointment. Melissa grabbed the phone back, her voice venomous now. You're being vindictive and cruel, Catherine. This is pure spite. No, Melissa. Vindictive and cruel was telling the woman who financed your dream wedding to disappear from your family permanently. I'm just being fiscally responsible. This will ruin everything. Everyone will think we're broke. Everyone will know something went wrong. Well, now that you mention it, I let that hang in the air for a moment, enjoying their obvious panic. Now that you mention it, without my ongoing financial support, you probably are going to be broke pretty soon. That's another matter we should discuss. What do you mean? David's voice was tight with panic now. I mean, have you actually looked at your household budget lately? Do you know precisely how much your monthly expenses are versus your actual income? More frantic whispering, more desperate calculations. Because I've been supplementing your lifestyle in ways you probably haven't even noticed. The grocery money I slip to Melissa when we shop together. The utility bills I pay online because you're always a little short this month. The car insurance, the emergency repairs, the little crises that keep conveniently appearing. Those were gifts, Melissa said weakly. Were they? Because from where I'm sitting, they look more like an allowance, and allowances can be discontinued at any time. The silence stretched so long, I thought they'd hung up. Finally, David spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. What do you want from us, Mom? Now that was interesting. An hour ago, they couldn't wait to get rid of me. Now they wanted to negotiate terms. I want exactly what you offered me earlier, to disappear from your family permanently. And I want to take my money with me when I go. By Sunday morning, My phone had 43 missed calls and 56 text messages. I ignored them all while enjoying room service breakfast and reading the Sunday newspaper like a civilized person. The wedding was scheduled for 2 p.m. At 9:15 a.m., there was an aggressive knock on my hotel room door. Through the peephole, I saw David in his wrinkled tuxedo shirt, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Mom, please, we desperately need to talk." I opened the door but didn't invite him inside. "Shouldn't you be getting ready for your big day? That's exactly what I need to talk to you about." His eyes were bloodshot, desperate, haunted. "Melissa's having a complete breakdown. She's locked herself in the bathroom and won't come out. Her mother is threatening to fly back to California immediately. The whole thing is falling apart catastrophically." "I'm sorry to hear that. I genuinely hope you work it out." "Work it out?" His voice cracked. "Mom, you destroyed our wedding. You obliterated everything we planned." "No, son, I removed my financial support from your wedding. There's a significant difference." He pushed past me into the room, and I let him. Sometimes you have to let people hang themselves with their own words. "This is insane. Over what? A simple misunderstanding about sleeping arrangements?" "Sit down, David." Something in my tone made him obey immediately. I remained standing, looking down at my 42-year-old son who was finally starting to understand that actions have consequences. "This isn't about sleeping arrangements. This is about respect. This is about gratitude. This is about treating the person who made your entire lifestyle possible like a human being instead of an inconvenient obligation." "We've always treated you well," he protested. "Have you?" I leaned forward. "When was the last time you asked about my life, my interests, my feelings? When was the last time you invited me somewhere because you genuinely wanted my company, not because you needed my help or my money?" He opened his mouth, then closed it helplessly. "I'll wait," I said, crossing my arms. The silence stretched uncomfortably. "When was the last time you called just to talk? When was the last time you remembered my birthday without Facebook reminding you? When was the last time you treated me like your mother instead of your personal ATM? That's not fair," he whispered. "Isn't it, David? In the past year alone, how much money have I given you and Melissa?" "I don't know. A few thousand here and there for emergencies." $41,000. His face went completely white. That can't be. $41,000 in emergencies and little helps and just until we get back on our feet. On top of the $102,000 for the house down payment. That's $143,000, David, more than most people earn in 3 years. "We were always planning to pay you back," he said weakly. "Were you? Because Melissa's been shopping for a new luxury SUV. You've been researching vacation packages to Italy. Neither of you has mentioned repayment even once." He slumped forward, head in his hands, finally confronting reality. "What do you want from me, Mom? Just tell me what you want." "I want you to understand that I'm not your personal bank account. I want you to understand that kindness and generosity aren't infinite resources. And I want you to understand that when you treat someone badly enough for long enough, eventually they stop caring about your problems. So you're punishing us by ruining our wedding day?" The casual cruelty in that statement, that my setting boundaries was punishment, confirmed everything I'd been feeling. "No, David. I'm protecting myself by stopping a pattern of financial exploitation. What you call punishment, I call self-preservation." "Financial exploitation? That's ridiculous and insulting." "Is it? You've conditioned me to believe that my only value to your family is monetary. You've trained me to expect crumbs of affection in exchange for major financial contributions. You've made me feel guilty for having needs and expectations while you take everything I offer completely for granted." I sat down across from him, leaning forward so he had to look directly at me. "Yesterday, Melissa told me the best gift I could give your family was to disappear permanently, and you stood there and agreed with her. After everything I've done, everything I've sacrificed, you agreed that I should vanish." "She didn't really mean it," he said weakly. Yes, she did. And so did you. And you know what? You're going to get exactly what you asked for. He looked up sharply, fear evident in his eyes. What does that mean? I smiled, and it wasn't a kind smile. It means you'd better figure out how to finance your own lifestyle from now on. It means you'd better hope Melissa's parents are feeling exceptionally generous. And it means you'd better start looking at apartments, because the house situation is about to become extremely complicated. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the legal documents you never bothered to read before your father and I helped you with that down payment. The ones that make me a 40% co-owner of your precious house. The color drained completely from his face. That's impossible. That's right, sweetheart. I own 40% of your house, and I'm seriously considering putting it on the market. You either buy me out at current market value, or we sell everything and split the proceeds. David stared at me like I'd just spoken in an alien language. You can't own part of our house. We bought it. We live there. With my $102,000 down payment. Yes. Did you think that money just evaporated into thin air? But you said it was a gift. You said you wanted to help us get started. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to Rebecca's detailed email from last night. Apparently, my lawyer had different ideas about protecting my investment. Would you like me to read you the relevant legal documents? This is impossible. Melissa would have had to sign something acknowledging this. Melissa was supposed to sign acknowledgement papers. She kept forgetting to return them. Rebecca kept them on file anyway. And the mortgage company has me listed as co-borrower. It's all completely legal and binding. Michael was shaking now, either from rage or terror. You planned this. You've been planning this entire thing from the beginning. Oh, sweetheart, if I'd been planning this, don't you think I would have done it before spending $17,000 on your wedding reception? The truth is, if I'd been scheming, I would have pulled the plug months ago. The realization seemed to hit him like a physical blow. So, what happens now? His voice was small, defeated, the voice of a child finally facing consequences. Now you have a choice. You can buy out my 40% share at current market value, or we can sell the house and split the proceeds according to ownership. We can't afford to buy you out, David whispered. The house is worth $320,000 now. 40% of that is over $128,000. I know, I'm excellent at math. That's why I have money, and you two are perpetually broke. He flinched visibly at that truth. 6 months later, I was sitting in my beautiful new condo, a lovely 2-bedroom place in a vibrant senior community with a pool, art classes, and hiking trails, when Melissa called with surprising news. Catherine, I got the promotion. Melissa had started working as a receptionist at a medical clinic, and apparently she'd excelled enough to become office manager. That's wonderful, Melissa. How does it feel? Exhausting, she laughed, and it was the first genuine laugh I'd heard from her in years. But also incredibly proud. I never knew I was capable of managing people and systems like this. You always had that potential. You just never had reason to use those skills before. There was a meaningful pause. Catherine, I owe you a real apology. Not the panicked one from Rebecca's office, but a genuine one. I'm listening. I was absolutely horrible to you for years. I treated you like a personal bank, and then got angry when you had feelings about it. I told myself you were being dramatic, but the truth is I was entitled, spoiled, and cruel. I'm deeply sorry. I set down my coffee, surprised by how much her words affected me. What changed your perspective? Having to actually work for money instead of just asking for it. Realizing how difficult it is to save even $100 when you're genuinely paying your own bills. Understanding what you sacrifice to help us. And honestly, therapy. Lots and lots of therapy. Through my window, I could see other residents tending the community garden. I'd signed up to help with the spring planting next week. How are things between you and David? Better. Actually, much better. We're communicating more now that we're not constantly stressed about money we didn't earn. We cook together, take evening walks instead of shopping. It's nice. Real. I'm genuinely glad to hear that. Catherine, would you consider coming to dinner sometime? Nothing fancy, just homemade lasagna and maybe some honest conversation that isn't about money? I thought carefully. The old Catherine would have said yes immediately, desperate to restore the relationship at any cost. The new Catherine had learned to protect her boundaries. I'd like that, but let's start with lunch in a neutral public place. Baby steps. Of course, whatever makes you comfortable. You've earned that right. After we hung up, I sat quietly processing how different this conversation felt.